Hello everyone, today I'm going to play 100 Days of Minecraft, and I could go on about how crazy this video was, but I'm not good at intros. So I named the world 100 Days of Trying My Best, and then spawned in at Day 0. Yeah, Minecraft starts on Day 0, nothing I can do about it. Day 0 started the way you expected it to, punching trees, and then I took a moment to look at my surroundings, and I realized I was at the top of a mountain, but a cool mountain. Basically just a mountain with a bunch of coal and iron. I also saw a shipwreck in the distance and decided that after I stocked up on resources, I would go over there and check it out. So after killing some sheep for a bed, I then started collecting some cobblestone, which quickly turned into collecting coal and then collecting iron. I did this all day and then went to sleep for the first time in this world. Day 1 was pretty much the same as Day 0, with all the collecting and smelting of ores, but on Day 2, I got some armor and tools and a shield, and then it was finally time to see what the shipwreck had in store for me. When I got there, I was able to get some treasures, feathers, and paper, and also this treasure map that had no destination on it, so I guess the pirates hid the treasure so well they couldn't find it either. Then on Day 3, I decided that the shipwreck was the perfect place to call home, so I spent all day getting the ship all fixed up so I could easily live there for the time being. I mostly did this because I had never seen a shipwreck so above the water like this one is. I hesitate to call it a wreck. Seems to be in pretty tip-top shape to me. Day 4, I took a door with me in order to gather some dirt underwater for a nice farm, and to also plant the bamboo I got from the shipwreck. Then I decided to go over to land to get more supplies, but had to stop on the way because I found an underwater portal. There wasn't a lot of good stuff in it, but there was a looting sword that'll come in handy. But I got over to land to get some sugarcane and some dye so I don't have to have a basic bed anymore. Then killed some pigs for food and found a village really close by. On Day 5, I was still at the village taking what I needed, then it was time to head home to plant my stolen crops. Then on Day 6, I decided it was finally time to go mining, so with the help of some friendly dolphins, I was able to find this mine, and I was finding a lot of good stuff. But after a while of being in there, I thought I had reached a dead end, but mined a couple blocks out of my way and found more mine. So it was here I decided that I would not stop mining until I found 5 diamonds. But first, I found a zombie spawner and collected some lava for some reason. Yeah, I don't know why she's doing this either. Then I had to try and not spawn the warden. Then I found a mine shaft and found another zombie spawner, and after a while I found some diamonds. I only mined 5 of what was there so I could come back with fortune and get more diamonds. But while I was mining up, I found more diamonds. And death! On Day 8, I went back to the mines to get my stuff, and luckily I found all of it and managed to climb out and tower up, even with skeletons shooting at me. Then I waited there all night for day to come. I could have just made a run for it, but apparently I couldn't be bothered. Day 9, I rowed a boat off the tower and then went home to deposit my goodies. And remember the lava buckets? Well, I did put them to good use and turned them into obsidian. I don't recommend doing this though because it literally took so much inventory space. Day 10 through 15 was spent putting my looting sword to good use by going around and slaughtering cows and horses. And the reason why it took 5 days was because I need at least 18 bookshelves. And to get 18 bookshelves, I need 54 books. And to get 54 books, I need 162 pieces of leather. So but it also took a while because on Day 12 I was trying to get a cat, and I did manage to get a cat pretty quickly, and I can't wait to get them home and give them a name tag and... Oh! Oh! No! I hate creepers. I hate creepers. I hate creepers. Yeah, that was tragic. So I decided to get another cat and to annihilate any creeper that decides to spawn in my vicinity. Oh hey look, another kitty. On Day 15, I finally made it near my house, but because my cat's teleportation sucks, I put them in boats to get them on the other boat. To be fair, I did choose to live in the water, so maybe that's why getting things here is 10 times harder. Day 16, I finally got my enchantment table and crafted my bookshelves. And I did want to try and enchant, but I had no levels, so I came to the realization that I was going to need some villagers. So after expanding my farm and naming my cats Gramble and Rosaline, on day 17 I got my tradable items and then headed over to the village to trade with some farmer villagers. Day 18, I saved these villagers and made them a nice little island for them to make more villagers that I can then exploit. Exploit's the right word. Day 19, I traded with these villagers some more and gave them bread because, as we all know, all you need to have a kid in this current economy is breadcrumbs. At least that's what the current administration thinks. And after barely feeding my villagers, I started fishing. I don't know what I thought I would get from this, but I got fish. Day 20, I traded with my villagers some more and, like a voyeuristic creep, watched them bring another villager into this trade farm. Then on day 21, I tried again to get fortune from the enchantment table, but once again, luck was not on my side. So I turned this guy into a librarian villager, and of course it took forever to get fortune 3, but I finally got my book. But sadly, I was so focused on getting levels to try and get fortune through the enchantment table, I had no tradables left. So on day 22, I went around trying to collect tradable items, and on day 23, I spent half the day getting items, and the rest of the days was spent trying to get home. Then I finally got my enchanted pickaxe. Day 24, it was back in the mines, but this time I intended to come out rich, which I guess is kind of pointless considering I have no one to flaunt my wealth to. But of course, on day 25, nothing can ever go smoothly, because not only was I was cornered by the stupid cave spider. Great. Day 26, I got on my boat and sailed all the way back to the mines, and luckily I found all my stuff and did not lose my riches. This is when I decided to quit while I'm ahead and go home. Day 27, I made my new shiny diamond tools and armor, then got some wood to get rich off of sticks. This was not fast, and was very annoying. Day 28, I did some farming, and the more astute viewers will have noticed that I used cobblestone on the little platform thing for my pumpkins and melons to grow onto. Well, apparently, you have to use dirt for that. Nothing else. So that's why they weren't growing. After that, I traded for more levels and then got more wood for trading. Day 29, I traded some more, and hey look, an iron golem, hope I don't piss that off. For days 30 and 31, I traded some more but decided that this was a little slow, so I left later into day 31 to find some animals to kill or some pumpkins to obtain. And hey look, another village. Day 32 was a day of exploration in which I found a bamboo forest and then ran all the way back home. In the dark. The very dangerous dark. Day 33 was back to trading, but then I decided I needed more coal, so I went to the very cool mountain, or should I say the very coal mountain? Alright, they can't all be winners, jeez. Once I got back home, I enchanted my boots to have depth strider so I don't have to suffer with the slow ass swimming. Day 34, I was ready to go to the Nether. I'm so sorry I had to, they had a gun to my head. So I went to the underwater portal nearby in order to take the obsidian from there, under the water, without aqua affinity. So after almost drowning, I went over to the ruined portal near the Acacia village, and after taking all the obsidian, I went back home and made my portal. Then I immediately jumped in without thinking. Day 35, I spent the whole day lost in the Nether. Okay, last time I promise. Day 36, I was standing over my villagers, then I noticed an anomaly. What? Why do I have a bee here? Dude, you're gonna die. Oh boy. But I didn't have time to think about the Minecraft equivalent of the Matrix. It was time to enchant my sword and armor. Then it was back to the Nether, and this time I found the fortress. But apparently it had to be the most well-guarded fortress I had ever seen. So I ran away. Day 37, I struggled to get to a blaze spawner without dying, but hey, on day 38 I managed to get to a blaze spawner and even cover it. But while I was trying to get home, I literally almost died. Day 39, I was trying to get another trade from the villagers, but I accidentally hit the villager, so I ran to the water out of fear of the iron golem. But for some reason, the golem wasn't hurting me. It wasn't even mad. So when the opportunity struck, I pushed the iron golem into the water because they can't swim and I don't want to randomly die. Then I got a mending book. Days 40 and 41 were spent in the Nether killing Enderman with a huge amount of struggle that I won't subject you to because it was so boring. Day 42, I finished enchanting the rest of my tools and then started trading with the villagers to make some arrows because it's about damn time that I kill that ender dragon. But I don't really know why I have to kill the ender dragon considering it's literally done nothing to me. Ever. Day 43, it was time to find a stronghold, which was relatively easy to find, and I totally didn't even use chunk base. Don't look at my browser history, weirdo. Now the stronghold took a while to navigate, but for my efforts, I got this other side music disc and found some diamonds before I got to the portal room. Day 44, I jumped through the portal, ready to kill that stupid ender dragon. After digging my way out and then climbing up the obsidian pillars to get rid of the crystals, it was apparently me who was going to do most of the dying. But finally, I managed to get rid of the dragon, which means that I finally got to go get my elytra. Except, it can never be that easy, because first I had to go thousands of blocks to even find an ender city with a boat, then I had to deal with the stupid shulkers until finally obtaining my elytra, but before I was ready to go, I had to raid a couple more cities, and you'd think that this would be an Icarus situation, but no, I got a lot of loot and managed to get out of the portal safely. Notice how I said get out of the portal safely? Yeah, that's because it was literally the most dangerous trip back home that I have ever experienced. And that's because of these assholes. So when I noticed that they were out, I decided that I would go back into the water so that I could get my bearings. But apparently, these idiots can swim for no good reason other than to annoy me. But here's a tip, if you get in a boat, they can't hurt you while it's moving. Day 49, I was home and I looked over my messy land water area and decided that this won't do because I deserve bigger and better than this. So I traded with my villagers, then disenchanted any tools that didn't have good enchants, and then it was time to make my super tools. Day 50 was spent trading and breeding my villagers, but day 51 was pretty busy because after trading with my villagers some more, a cat spawned. But because I live on the water, this cat almost drowned, but I didn't let it because I tamed it and named it Sharky. I also went over to the stronghold to take some books from the library to trade with. Day 52, I traded with my villagers and then decided to show you the mountain that I would be living near, but I did it in probably the worst way possible. Day 53, I found another drowning cat, and it is the exact same breed as the cat I tamed earlier. You know, before it was murdered by the creeper. So after I tamed it, I named it Avenger, because no cat of mine will die to a creeper ever again. And to make sure I get my revenge, I'm going to make a creeper farm. So I went over to the mountain to collect some cobblestone. Then on day 54, I collected some wood, some wool, and then I started building my creeper farm. On water. And let me be really clear here. This was hell. It was literally the worst because not only did my horrible at following instructions brain have to follow a tutorial made by Trillium's link in description, I also then had to get the water out of the building, which took forever, and then it took almost as long to breed my cats, that I have nicknamed the Avengers, just so we're aware. But after 3 more days of building my creeper farm, I just had to make sure it worked, so I waited a day on my glass platform, and lucky me, it works even if it's in water. Day 61, I checked on my villagers, then on day 62, I upgraded my tools in order to get some things for an Enderman farm. And you may be thinking, what? I thought you were going to build a pirate ship. Well, yes, I did say I was going to build a pirate ship, but I never said I was going to build it right then. Anyway. Day 63 through day 66 was spent building my Enderman farm, and then when I got home, I made a useless sugarcane farm. But it's not useless because it was poorly made by J-Wisp. It's because I made it the furthest away from where I plan to live, because of course I would. Then on day 70, I used the Lightmatica mod to set up where I wanted to build the ship. You know, 20 days after I said I would. Sorry. Then I started to set up some wool farms, and I worked on this well into the night of day 71. Then on day 72, I led these sheep to the wool farm. Also, this is a really good farm made by Trilliums. I just can't stay in one place for too long, so this is going to be almost completely useless for me anyway. Then on day 73, I finished leading some more sheep to the wool farm, and then I went to check on the iron golem at the bottom of the ocean. He's okay, I promise. Then on day 74, I went over to the bamboo forest and absolutely destroyed it, and continued to do so well into day 76. And to finish day 76, I went over to the closest spruce forest to collect wood and saplings. And on day 77, I was chopping trees down and found a pirate ship with an actual treasure map, with real treasure. Day 78, I finally found a dark oak forest, so I immediately got started on getting some saplings and wood. But then this creeper tried to join the party. Then on day 79 through day 83, I planted and grew the trees, then immediately chopped them all down for my new pirate ship. Then on day 84, I got started on actually building my ship. And once again, I had to deal with the problems of living on the water. For the next couple of days, it was just spent building the belly of the ship, until I was distracted by this trespasser. But I decided to let him live because he had a pale oak sapling and I needed one for decoration. And on day 90, I took a quick check on how much progress I had made. Then on day 91, I went to the Nether to try and get some gilded blackstone. But for some godforsaken reason, you need to use a silk touch pick. So I went back home and did I get a silk touch pickaxe? No, silly, I went thousands of blocks away to get some cherry wood and saplings. But on day 92, I got the silk touch pickaxe and finally got my gilded blackstone. And after, I went to check on my wool farm, and it's not doing so well. Day 93, I got some wood, some cobblestone, and then managed to finish my furnace room. I also went back to
the Nether
to get some crimson wood. Day 94, I went to the mines because I thought I had saw a geode near the first zombie spawner, but no, I thought wrong. Instead, I went to chunk base to find a geode, and once I broke into it, I got a nasty shock. The good news is that there was no spawner, so it was just there to terrify me. And after the amethyst was collected, I placed them on the other side of my emerald blocks in my bedroom to display them. My treasures. Day 95, I checked on my wool farm and what a surprise! It barely worked because of my inability to calm the fuck down. Then after placing some minor decorations, I made a jukebox and decided to listen to the Other Side CD I got. Wow, that was really weird. If you didn't see in my montage, I've been having a really hard time with my wool farm, so in order to not close out this video with an unfinished build, I'm gonna have to go a couple days past 100. So after waiting around on my failing wool farm on day 100, I got on my creeper farm platform, and on day 102, got my fireworks. Then went around shearing sheep. Then on day 103, I continued my sales. Then I went back to shearing sheep, all across the globe, or cube. And for the next couple days, it went on like that, with the exception of day 105, which was spent dealing with my new bees and getting some more honeycombs for candles. And then it was back to getting wool. But I didn't just get it from sheep, I got it from pillager outposts and even villages. Then on day 111, I finished my sales. And oh my gosh, was this a process. This was so much fun, and I'm not the best in the Minecraft building business by any means, but I really enjoyed making the pirate ship, and as I continue to make Minecraft videos, you'll see that I'm terrible at decorating, but I actually think this was some of my best decorating work I've done. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think of the pirate ship, and yeah, that's it. Bye!